Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Kelsy Elle, and I am so excited to announce my special guest today, Dr. Russell Kennedy, the Anxiety MD. Welcome.
Thanks, Kels. It's great to be here with you.
It's so good to have you here. Gosh, we need you right now.
I need me right now.
I know, right?
It's
God,
stressful.
I think anxiety levels are pretty high. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people who didn't know they were anxious before this, like who were just going through their day-to-day lives and, they'd have fun on the weekends and that kind of stuff. But generally, there's just kind of this low level of angst. Now with the current level of stress that we're under, everybody gets raised above that little threshold that they were under before. And I see tons of people now who say, I didn't know I was anxious. I didn't know for months and months, or maybe the last 10 years, that I was anxious until this hit. And I realized it's just an exaggerated version of how I was kind of feeling just angst in general for like the last 5 or 10 years. So it's amazing how many people, are just really, it brings out what we were feeling before, because I think we were getting into this environment where, if you look at, Republicans versus Democrats, there was always this constant fighting. We're almost in this level of, we're almost ready for a fight all the time. So
Yeah.
we're in this fight or flight state, and anxiety, is just basically a short jump from, if you're in an anxiety, like fight or flight state, you're going to stay there for a while. So
And,
that,
I feel like a lot of people that I'm talking to, they're busy and they were always distracting themselves with something.
yep.
So even though those levels of anxiety were there, they would just, okay, go to work, go to a board meeting, go here, go there, see a friend. Now they can't do that. And
Yep.
it's really alarming, to start feeling those feelings now.
Yeah, because you're face to face with yourself. One of the things that I do with my people who are really anxious, like who have real deep, like childhood trauma and that kind of stuff too, a lot of times what those people will do is they'll go into their heads because it's not safe to go into their body. Like when they were younger, there was so much trauma in the household, or they experienced a single abuse or whatever, that really they held in their body. And it's like, well, I can't go back into my body because it's not safe there. So what I'm going to do is stay in my head and just distract and distract. And that's basically what worry is. Worry just distracts you from, the pain that you're carrying around in your body. And, I'd like to, as a medical doctor, sometimes I want to have a seizure when I talk about this sort of stuff, because I am a neuroscientist as well. But I'm really sort of seeing how much the body is involved in our stress and how much we just attribute the mind as the problem, when the mind is really just the reflector of what's happening in the body.
Mm.
And, if your body's upset, and as it is these days, your mind will make up a reason for why it's upset. Your mind can't handle uncertainty. So
Mhm.
if your body's feeling all this angst, your mind will go, well, we're feeling angst. What are we feeling angst about? Well, I can't pay my bills. I'm having trouble with my partner. All this stuff will come out, and then that will seem so much more real, because your own mind has made sense of what's going on, but it may not be accurate. And then we start believing our own thoughts. And that's why I like the saying, don't believe everything you think, because it's just, it's us. We make up our own worries out of our own worst fears, and then we believe them. There's that story, I don't know if you've heard, but this story of when I was in India, when I lived in a temple in India for a while, the monk told us this story, and I'll shorten it up a little bit, about this man who was a brilliant painter. People would come from miles around to see him, and he loved tigers. So he painted this picture of a tiger that was so realistic that he actually died of fright. So he didn't know, when he looked at the picture, he lost all ability to see that he had just created this. And I think that's what we do every day with our own thoughts. We create these horrible worst case scenarios, and then we believe them. And of course our bodies are going to be at the effect of it. Anyway, that was a bit of a long rant, but
Oh, I love that though. It's that it just reminds me of, it's like we go back into that childhood state of,
yeah.
we can believe anything and make up anything in our minds. So what would you say to someone who is sitting at home going, I don't know what to do.
Right.
Maybe they can't even go see their therapist right now, or they can't go see their doctor, or maybe their doctor's just telling them to take a pill, or
Right.
what. As a medical doctor and a neuroscientist, and I mean, you have the expertise, that I think it's so important for people to understand that there are other ways and alternative methods. So tell us a little bit about, if we're sitting at home
Yeah.
finding ourselves going down that rabbit hole, what are some really good things that we can do?
It's funny, it's funny because I have a degree, a PhD in medicine or a doctorate in medicine and degrees in neuroscience as well. And it really does come down to this, almost this more ethereal, it's come full circle from this, highly scientific, highly medicalized, frame of reference that I've had to almost, asking yourself, am I safe in this moment? If you're sitting on your couch and you're feeling like angsty and Netflix is going crazy and stuff, just to shut it off for a second and just look around and just breathe and, put your hand on your chest. Sensation is a wonderful tool, by the way, that we don't use enough. Rub your hands together. I used to say rub your face, but I can't now because of COVID. Because the thing about when you rub your face, the parts of your brain that have the most real estate in your brain, the most area of function, are your hands and your face. So if you use your hands to touch your face, I just washed my hands, so I'm okay. So if you use your hands to touch your face, that lights your brain up. Like your brain is so almost overstimulated by that it has a hard time conjuring up worries because most of its attention has been drawn into your sensation. And I'm huge on that. Like, I really think, one of my favorite sayings is you can't beat thoughts on their own turf. Like, when you start arguing, that there's no such thing as a pink elephant, well, of course there isn't. It's ridiculous. I mean, I guess it's really dumb to think that there's a pink elephant. I mean, I guess if you had an elephant and you painted it pink, you'd have a pink elephant. And, so your mind just goes into this thing, right? Like, we're such imaginative creatures that we believe whatever we think. And then when we do that, our body reacts, our cortisol goes up, our adrenaline goes up. And then what that does is it shuts off our oxytocin, which is basically the chemical that gets secreted when we laugh, when we fall in love, when we have an orgasm, when we have a baby. All that stuff comes up. And as that cortisol and epinephrine comes up, it blocks that oxytocin. But one of the things that brings up oxytocin is actual physical contact, even with yourself. Like, even touching your own arms. I know there's this thing where you give yourself a hug. You put your right hand under your left armpit. Sorry about that in the summer. And then and your the opposite hand on the opposite shoulder. And you just do it now for a second. And then you just sort of give yourself a little squeeze. And I know it sounds a little out there for a neuroscientist and stuff, but really it does start secreting that oxytocin. And then when we get into our rational mind again and out of our survival brain, because that's what we're in right now, we're in survival brain. Once we get into our rational mind, then we can actually see, I am safe. And you and I have talked before about, you can hold a glass of water up for, 10 minutes and it's not going to bother your hand. But if you try and hold that same glass of water in the air for an hour and a half, your arm's going to get tired. But if every 10 minutes you put it down for a minute or two, then you can pick it back up again. And that's what I'm saying about saying to yourself, am I safe in this moment? Because when you look around and you see that you're actually safe in the moment, when you start, rubbing your chest or rubbing your fingertips together or putting your hands on your face, as long as they're washed, and that kind of thing, even making, the latest step in neuroscience that's coming out now is even making facial expressions, even making like a happy facial expression sends a message back to your brain that it can secrete oxytocin. It can secrete these chemicals that allow you to feel happier. And as a little aside, because I'm a huge science nerd, but they're finding now that the people that get chronic Botox injections, especially actresses and actors, are having a hard time accessing emotions they need to act, because what they've done is they paralyze the facial muscles. The face is the only place in the body where the skin is attached directly to the muscles. The only place, because that's how we communicate with each other. So you can communicate with yourself by like smiling, but it brings you into that sensation. I know I've come full circle, but it brings you into that sensation, and when you get into that sensation of that moment, and then you focus on your breath or focus on just something you're grateful for. And this is what we were talking about before. A lot of people say, oh, I need to learn to love myself. Well, a lot of us grew up in an environment where it wasn't possible to love ourselves. We grew up in this consumer-based, fear-based industry where, you're taught not to love yourself because you can buy whatever you need. And what happens with that is that we lose this ability to really connect with ourselves. So what I'm saying is that if you can start getting back into that ability to see that you're safe in the moment, to connect with yourself in sensation, then you're able to sort of ground yourself now. Because the thing about worry, fear, and uncertainty is it's always about the future. It's always about the future. So when you pull yourself into sensation, you pull yourself into the present moment, you pull yourself out of survival brain and into rational brain. And then you can see what you really want. And you and I've talked about that before too, is that, you said earlier on, people are starting to really see what they want now that they're just sort of isolated and alone and no other distractions. They can, well, what do I want with my life? Do I really want to continue on with this job? And I think that's kind of the main point I'm trying to get across is when you move into sensation, if you're just sitting on the couch, if you rub your hands together, rub your cheeks. Sometimes I get people to cross their hands at the midline, just where the brain is wired, and rub your cheeks on both sides. Like, even if you do that now, Kels, like do that now, cross your and rub your cheek. Can you feel how much of your brain is like stimulated by that? And then, so if you're in,
that's really interesting. I've never done that before.
Yeah. If you're stuck, I invented that. So I think I did anyway, because I've never seen it anywhere else. So if you're in this worry loop and then you start bringing in sensation, you give half the energy that was previously, creating worry after worry after worry. Now half that energy is taken away, and now you're in sensation. So you can feel like you're not being overwhelmed by your worries anymore. So basically, long answer to a short question, but what you can do is you can get into sensation. And once you get into sensation, you can start saying, what do I like about myself? You don't have to say, I love you, like that Stuart Smalley, I love you, and people love, gall darn it, that. But what you can do is start saying, what I like I like my sense of humor. I like my generous spirit. I love helping people. I can really bring up stuff that I really like about myself to connect. And that connects me even deeper into my rational brain and even farther away from my survival brain. So those two things together, bringing yourself into the moment with sensation, and then, finding stuff that you like about yourself. And I have seen people who say, there's nothing I like about myself. It's like, well, okay, well, what do you like about me then? What do you like about your mother? What do you like about your friend?
Yeah.
And then use that.
I love that.
So it's like,
people have a tough time even talking about anything that they like about themselves.
Yes.
Or tapping into that. So they're much, it's much easier for them to talk about their best friend I love that.
And in the middle of the night too, like people tell me, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm just panicked. It's like, well, what you say to yourself is this little mantra, which is, am I safe in this moment? Because when we wake up in the middle of the night, there's no distractions. There's nothing but us there. Right? So our mind goes crazy. So you just sort of say to yourself, am I safe? I know my mind thinks that the world's going to end tomorrow. But in this moment, in this little moment that I'm sitting here with my covers up to my chin in bed, am I safe? Am I really safe in this moment? It's like, yeah, I guess I am. And just that one saying, my daughter has a little anxiety, not as much as I used to, but has a little. She says that's the one thing that has helped her more than anything else, is just when she gets in these things, especially in the middle of the night, just saying, am I safe in this moment? Because it breaks the spell, right? It breaks that spell of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then when you say, am I safe in this moment? It brings you into this moment. You realize that you are safe. And it is like putting that glass of water down and having a break and giving your brain a break. So that's kind of the things that I show people, is that you're not going to beat anxiety or stress by talking to yourself. It's actually only going to make it worse. So what you really have to do is realize, I call it turning left. So if you come to a stop sign and you always go right and you always go right, and right is always going into your thinking, always, always, always. Of course, you're going to get into this loop of thinking, making you worse, making you think more, and you just keep turning right at that intersection. But if you hit that intersection and you go, stop, I'm going to make an intention to turn left into my body. And the intention is really huge. Like, making an intention tells your brain, your unconscious mind and your conscious mind, in no uncertain terms, we're not going there anymore. We're going to go this way. And even if you do it 1 out of 10 times, go into your body, you start seeing, hey, this is actually a lot easier on me than, because I said you can't be, when you're stressed, you're in survival brain. And what your survival brain does is it makes you look for threat. it actually shuts off your rational brain. Because, if you were being chased by a predator 1,000 years ago, you're not going to wonder, oh, I wonder if that predator's had a bad day. I wonder what my mother-in-law is doing right now. You're not going to think any of that rational stuff. You just need to escape. But what that does is when we lose our rational brain and move into survival brain, is we actually filter out safety because of the way our brain works. So when you get out of rational brain, you filter out safety, and your survival brain specifically looks for threat, and it will find it. We are smart. Human beings are amazingly smart and imaginative. So when we are in a survival brain, we preferentially see threat, and then we start making up these stories to make sense of the threat that we feel. So it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy that we actually create our own stress, and then we believe it, just like the guy who painted the tiger and died of fright. So we create these things, these horrible images, and then we automatically believe them. So what I'm saying is, when you say, am I safe in this moment, you kind of break the spell, and you can kind of realize, hey, at this moment, I actually am safe.
Wow, it's so profound. And I'll tell you, I think since this pandemic started, we've had so many people calling and calling and calling and feeling like they need a quick answer or a quick fix to even their, business problem or whatever it is going on. We have a lot of experts who are trying to get going, and they want everything really quick. But I think there's something really profound about what you're saying, especially for my clients who are trying to do these really big things, is that
Mm-hmm.
there is no quick fix. But if we can just get back into that calm mind, that's where all of our creative genius lives. It's where magic can happen. Without it, we're kind of, we're left stumbling.
Hanging. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Well, one of the things I like to tell people when they come to me with anxiety is, one of the best things to start making things better is to stop making it worse. Right? So it's like, stop the worrying. And like I said, you can't stop thoughts. Thoughts are like a runaway train. George Carlin used to call thoughts brain droppings, which I love. I love that term, because it's just like, that's what the mind does. As these little poops, that it just keeps doing it every day. So that's what it does. So it's a matter of kind of seeing that you're creating these little, brain droppings, and that you don't have to believe everything you think. And in a way, just, so you can't stop thinking, but what you can do is you can direct the energy previously attributed to making those thoughts into sensation, into coming into your body, into coming into the moment. So it just gives less energy and power to those thoughts. And once you come into your body, like if you feel a couple of breaths and you start feeling, sometimes I get people to put their hand on their chest and their belly at the same time and really feel how the breath moves in and out. Right? So that really moves you into sensation. And one of the words I love using is savor your breath. There's a lot of people in the world right now that are having a hard time breathing, because of this whole coronavirus, people with chronic asthma, all that kind of stuff. And I've had asthma attacks, not so much lately since I went off wheat, but in general, they're terrifying, and you just feel like you can't get your breath. So I know what it's like to not be able to breathe. My first girlfriend had 6 cats, and I would walk, she only lived 2 blocks from me. And I would walk home, like literally gasping and wheezing for breath, going, this is before I was a doctor. Like I'm like 16 or 17. And I'm gasping and wheezing, going, what the hell is going on with my breathing? Right? So finally, one night, I just can't take it anymore. And I walked down to emergency. They give me a couple of puffers, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it feels like. And ever since then, because I know what it's like to be struggling for breath and not be able to breathe. And now that's why I use the word savor your breath, because it's really all about sensation. It's really, because in this society, we're such a heads up society. We're so in our heads that we're not in our bodies anymore. And when you're in your head all the time, you trigger your survival brain all the time when you're in your head, because you're trying to figure out stuff that is non-figure outable. Like right now, people are trying to figure out what's the right answer. Should we open, or should we stay closed, or should we open, or should we, and basically, I'm a doctor. I study this stuff. I don't know. Like, I don't know the right answer. Right. So it is one of those things where, it's like those carnival games, where you have to knock down 5 of those bottles with a baseball or throw a ring onto a Coke bottle. Like, you can't win those games. Those games are rigged against you. So it's like, you can't win the thought game. So in our heads up society, we have to really start learning. And this is coming from a medical doctor and a neuroscientist, it's like a brain. I study the brain. It's like, and I'm saying, get the hell out of there, because it's not doing you much good. Like, get into your body. Get into sensation that'll bring you in the moment. And once you get into the moment, then your system will start to relax. Because what happens is we start getting into worries, and worries are always about the future. Always, always, always. Even if it's just 5 minutes away, worries are always about the future. And worries have no life in the present. They have no life. So when you bring yourself into the present, worries can't live there, but they don't like it. So they're going to try and suck you back in. There's that story of Odysseus and the sirens, where he's I was going to say driving his ship, sailing his ship beside Siren Island. And there's all these beautiful women with long flowing hair, and they're singing these amazingly beautiful songs. And what the sailors do is they drive their boat right into the rocks, and they all die, because and your thoughts are kind of like those sirens, like they're trying to suck you back in, like, hey, we have the answer. This is the greatest thing in the world. But all they're going to do is they're going to suck you into the rocks, and you're going to die.
Oh yeah.
So it's a matter of seeing that and going, you know what? I'm not actually going to turn right into the island. I'm going to turn left and go into my own body, into my own sensation. And that is how we make it through in the short term. In the longer term, I have more for people in the longer term. But right now, we're just basically dealing with, surviving and learning some tactics that'll help us. And, meditation's great, but if you haven't meditated before and you think, I'm going to sit down for 10 minutes and meditate, you're going to blow your brains out. Because if you're used to like, go, trying to sit down and meditate for 10 minutes. And I have people do that, and it creates such angst in people that they never, ever go back. So usually I say, if you're going to start meditating, great, use your breath, use the sensation of your breath, close your eyes, just focus on your breath. You're going to lose it, and just bring it back and do it for 2 minutes twice a day. And if you can do it for 2 minutes for twice a day for a week or 10 days, then you can expand the time. Because what I don't want people to do is say, I'm going to sit down for 10 minutes, hate it, and never do it again. So it'll help you. It does help you. But for some people, it actually can make them worse. So I'm really on about, get into sensation, dance, play. Play is so important. Find some music, play, play a game of some kind. What did you do when you were a teenager for fun?
Yeah.
If you rode your bike, then ride your bike. I don't know what your restrictions are there. We're not restricted here in BC for bike riding or anything. But find the stuff that you used to do for fun. Because if you look at the scans of people who are in play, like the MRI, functional MRI scans, and the scans of a brain in depression, they are the exact opposite. Like some sides light up when you're in play that are completely dormant in depression, and vice versa.
Wow.
So play is an amazing thing. Dancing, movement is just so, because again, it's sensation, right? Dancing and movement and rhythm. Like rhythm is, I saw a thing the other day that Stevie Wonder's song Superstition apparently has the most rhythm of any song that's ever been written.
I love that song too. I love me some Stevie.
Yeah, because I guess he did all the drumming on it too. So because he's an amazing drummer apparently. So rhythm is really important, and that's why when I make these meditations that I make, I put binaural beats in the background, rhythm in the background, so that it does tend to put yourself into this really calming rhythm. Because a lot of people are really struggling with sleep and eating right now, either too much or too little. And anyway, I get passionate about this and I cut you off, Kelsey.
No, I love it. I mean, I literally soak you in, and I soak you in when I'm listening to your hypno meditations like every day. I've never had massive anxiety, but I've noticed just being a really busy entrepreneur, a busy mom of a toddler, a busy, doctor's wife, and all these things.
Oh yeah.
It can get a little bit crazy, and my mind can end up just spinning out of control. So I put on your hypno meditation literally every day. And I noticed there's just this like intense calming that happens. And then of course I'm lucky enough to have a toddler who makes me do dance parties every day.
Right.
That is part of my play. So I've
Everything.
got the really good combination of my Dr. Russell and playtime. So it's really amazing. But I'm definitely going to put a link below for anyone who wants to check out one of your hypno meditations, because it is, I mean, how long is it? It's only,
Well, I think the one, because there's a free one on there that has the whole bit: brainwave entrainment, hypnosis, meditation, and I think that one is, I think it's 19 minutes. The one for immune support, and that's free for everybody, because I wanted everyone to have a chance to do the best thing that they could for this virus, right? So it supports your immune system, it relaxes you, it gives you suggestions that kind of connect to yourself and your sensation and that kind of thing. It really is kind of a one-stop shopping thing. There's another one on there that's paid that, if you feel like it's going to help you, give it a try, but that's specifically for people who struggle with anxiety. So we go into slightly different things as far as that one goes too. But the free one for sure, and I made it free because I want everybody to be able to have access to it, have the optimal immune system, have the optimal relaxation. And I had somebody, a friend, an old comic buddy of mine, his sister couldn't sleep, so he sent her to me, and yeah. And I just gave her the meditation, and she said she's been sleeping I haven't heard from her for a week, so I guess she's doing okay. But it really does help you sleep, because it does. And that's the thing about you, is you're so creative. Like, you're just so, every time I talk, you're like, we could do this and we could do this and we could do this and we could do this. It's all, you're like the Energizer bunny. And it's like, but sometimes I see when you get overloaded, it's like, I can see your creativity you're still there. Like, you're still like, okay, we should do this, we should do this. But your creativity, I see, has kind of been dampened a little bit, just because you're going back to the well a lot. So I think it really helps for us creative types to be able to, there is that sweet spot between being mobilized and activated and then overstimulated when the creativity actually starts to drop. So, but in general, you're really good about, finding your creative window and operating in it, because you've helped me a ton.
Oh yeah, no, it's so important. And that's why I really believe that, it's like, as a creator, or, when we're doing really big things. And I think, like we said earlier, this moment in time has inspired so many people to finally do something big, to
Yeah.
finally get out of their fear and step out of these doubts and just go, you know what, I'm just going to do something. Yeah, I need to do something. I need to actually start, living out my dream. And how do we do that though? How do we stay calm while we're starting to do that, while we're still panicking about getting sick? And so you are so generous to give away this hypno meditation for immune boosting, because I mean, literally it's worth so much. And we're all worried about contracting the virus and our loved ones, and just staying really healthy and well during this time. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you and respect you so highly, and love what you do. And I can't wait for your book to come out.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. So there's so much ahead. So all of you watching, you've got to go to Dr. Russ's website, check it out. I'll put the link, but you're an amazing guide with so much knowledge. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Hey, you're welcome, Kelsy. Yeah, I mean, I really think what I part with is just saying, just embrace the uncertainty. So often we fall into this victim mode, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I suffered with anxiety for decades. So I'm by no means outside of the victim mentality. I was in it this morning, but I can see when I'm in it now. But it's just embracing the uncertainty rather than, oh my God, what's going to happen? It's like, okay, I'm going to embrace, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to stand up to it. And I'll tell you a really quick story. My mother is afraid of crossing the street. Right? Her doctor, well, she's not in general. It's just when she goes to her doctor's office, and basically the apartment she lives in, and she's 86, and her doctor's office are literally across the street. Like, it's probably 60 steps from her front door of her apartment building to the doctor's office. I live about 20 minutes away from her. So she'll phone me and she'll say, can you drive me to the doctor's office? And if she's sick, I absolutely take her, right? But normally, because she goes up and down the stairs, even though she's 86, like she's in better shape than all of us. So normally I say to her, you know, Mom, what if I told you that you can't do it? What if I told you you're just not strong enough to walk across that street? And you know what she says? She says, I'll show you that I can cross the street. So she phones me an hour later and says, you know, I not only did I go across the street to my doctor's for my B12 shot, but then I went over to the store and then I walked across the four corners, the big intersection that's about a block down from her. So it's like, you know, once you adopt that victim mentality and you believe it, it really zaps you. But when you just decide, you know, get into your body and then decide, I'm not going to do this way. I'm going to actually embrace what I think is going to hurt me. Then you get a tremendous amount of power and a feeling of control, and it takes you out of survival brain. It really does. So, you know, the thing that I would leave people with is, am I safe in this moment? Ground yourself in sensation and really watch yourself for that victim mentality, because it really is, it really will just, it just compounds itself. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So if you can just make the intention, I'm not going to be a victim here. I'm going to look at this straight on. I'm going to deal with it straight on. Your neurochemistry improves 1,000%.
That is awesome. I feel energized just hearing about this. I feel like I have, you know, a lot of new stuff going on.
Well, the people in our group are going to be like, man, you energized Kelsey. What's you know, what's going to happen? That girl's the Energizer Bunny to start with. Like, what are you going to do? Go and clean everyone's house for the next?
I just might. This may make my husband very happy. Maybe I'll go clean my house right now. This is awesome. No, and you know what I love too is your amazing sense of humor and your comedy and the comic relief and all of that good stuff. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
You're such a pleasure. And
well, I was a stand-up comic for 15 years with Yuck Yucks here in Canada. And
what can't you do?
Yeah. What can I do? I can't bake. I can't cook.
Ooh, okay.
Can't cook. Hopeless.
Okay.
Hopeless at cooking.
Hopefully you have a good cook in the house.
Yes. Within the last year, I have put regular dishwashing soap in the dishwasher, and then left it. And that was, I'll never do that again. So in the kitchen, in an operating suite, fine. But in a kitchen, no. No, I'm just a one-man toast. I can kill toast. I have a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah, so like Uber Eats and all that is your best friend.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, but luckily Cynthia, my wife, she's a great cook, and even my stepson Alex, he's a great cook too. So I do the other stuff around that. I'm the cleanup guy, but they're the cooking people. So
that's so much fun. I love it. See, I learned something new about you.
Yeah.
You actually can't do something. This is good.
It's true. There's actually a list. I don't advertise it, but there's a bunch of stuff I don't do very well. I can't put things together very well too. Like you give me like an IKEA cabinet to put together, or like a gas barbecue from an Asian country, I will start throwing stuff. Like I have infinite patience for people, but if I can't get something mechanical going, I start throwing my toys, because I just can't do it. You know, the big anxiety Zen, you know, yoga and meditation teacher starts throwing shit, because it's I get frustrated.
That must be a lot of fun. I mean, I love IKEA, but I have to agree with you. That is it's super frustrating.
People, endless patience for people. But I guess what it really comes down is I don't have endless patience for myself, but I am learning that now. Yeah. You know, now that I bring myself into my rational brain. So, I mean, the stuff that I had to create this stuff because it wasn't out there. Like psychiatry, medicine, psychology couldn't help me. I had severe, almost suicidal anxiety for almost 4 decades. And then I had to find, like Physician Heal Thyself. I almost had to find a way, and I did find a way, because I did LSD, but that's a whole other podcast. That actually showed me what I had to do to heal. And now I'm showing other people exactly that. So that's why I have a tremendous amount of science behind me, but I learned a lot from living in India. I learned a lot from being a yoga teacher, and I learned a lot from just like the psychedelics, just showing me that there's life after death. There's like, this is, this existence that we're in right now. There's no point in getting so wrapped up in it, because it's really temporary. And there's really no such thing as death. We just phase from different energies to another. And I hope I haven't lost all my credibility there, but you know.
No, this is part of what I think, you know, really makes you so unique, is that, I mean, you have so many perspectives, but you've lived this life, and you can
Yeah.
teach us so much. And I mean, everything you say, what you just said, it's like that really resonates, and it really helps me. So I know it's helping someone else out there too.
Well, thanks, Kels. Thanks for having me on, you know,
I
as
love
always.
having you here. Will you come back?
Obviously. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're one of my favorite people.
Oh, you're one of my favorite people too,
Yeah.
Dr. Russ.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kels. Yeah. Thanks. Anytime. Anytime. And I guess
Awesome.
we'll, yeah, we'll talk soon. You
All
should-
right. Well, we will stay well. We will stay happy, and everyone out there, you know, just I'll put Russ's information down below so you can check out all of his good stuff. You've got to get that immune boosting hypno meditation. So good. And the anxiety one is the one that I listen to every day, by the way. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. See y'all
Thanks
soon.
again, Kels. See ya.
Bye bye.